Pledge, would you all stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next item is roll call.
Okay. So Nygren.
Here.
Mattson.
Yes.
Garrison. Dolphy.
Here.
Horton.
Here.
And Pila and Hagan are absent.
Under that is the Andrew Schmidt, the new alternate member. He here? That's you. Okay.
Come on up.
And there's a oath of office or whatever you gotta take, I guess. So.
Welcome
And then
aboard.
Thank you, welcome. How can you sit up here?
Yeah, I would think so.
Because we're
think so.
shorter members.
I would think so.
Yep.
He's got a name tag and everything.
Oh, he's over there. Oh, okay. Okay.
I would think so.
Assigned seating.
Oh, no, that's.
I'm the old new guy. So now you're the new guy, so I moved up. I'm like,
You're an old new guy? You just gained seniority. Number 4, the consent agenda. Approval of the meeting agenda. We just approved the whole consent agenda.
I make a motion that we approve all the agendas as written.
Second.
And seconded, discussion. How does this work if we want to add something to the agenda or not? Do we do it at this point? Or
Yes.
do we approve it as it's?
Nope, if you're gonna add something, you're gonna wanna add it before
The
you make a
agenda is
motion.
what we see in front of us.
Are you adding something?
What's that?
Are you adding something?
Not right now, but because some of this stuff will be discussed under the old business with accessory building. That's where. it's
Yeah,
gonna
so
come
that's
in.
where we would have that.
The only thing, and I'll bring this to Andy's attention, I mentioned about the new planning people that the township hired. Would we be able to have people from their agency work with us? Will they attend meeting or not, or do we have to make special arrangements to do that? And how will we know what the variance requests and all of the stuff coming at us will be? Will they be coming from the office or from the planning agency?
They'll be on the agenda. So if she's got
Question about a variance in that, we won't know about it until it hits our table.
until you get the packet, yes.
So there'll be no communication between myself as chairman or anybody else on this until it hits the agenda. They will be making the decisions as far as what goes on the agenda and what doesn't.
Yes. If there's new business. Cause she's the one that's working on all the variances and applications of that nature. So if she's got something that's on a timeline, she'll let me know and then I'll put it on the agenda for you guys. Is that different than what it was with Susan? Did she let you know about variances and stuff in advance?
So they're gonna handle all of the questions from the citizens. As far as what's allowable on variances and stuff, we won't be involved with it at all.
Well, we wouldn't have a variance unless it's a variance, so we wouldn't be involved unless they want us to approve or
Up-
disapprove a variance.
Yep,
correct?
up until the approval or disapproval, she's gonna handle all of that legwork for you. So she's gonna go through the applications.
Susan. Maybe that, well, I'm bringing it up now because I want it on the agenda if necessary. Susan and I communicated about different questions, discrepancies in that. Is there any communication between the planning and zoning and this planner prior to the meeting, or we're gonna be hit with it at a meeting?
That, I guess I'm not real sure how she structures it.
It's Susan and I just in the past, and even previous planners, as much as we could, if there was any questions or stuff, I would get some communication, you email or on the phone talking to them. And not just, well, maybe it was just me because I was chairman, but we could head off some of the problem before it hit the planning and zoning committee. Now, that's not gonna happen. It'll just be, they're gonna bring it to the meeting and we have to discuss it. That's the way it's set up.
That is kind of the way it is discussed, yeah.
Talking about figuring out if a variance would be needed,
Well,
like is there a,
If
if there was a question on,
It's our
do we
ordinances.
need it?
And no, that's the job of well, it's between, Susan worked with it and so did the planning commission as far as fitting into our ordinances as they sit. And that's the way it was, okay, before it hit the planning commission. And then we would discuss whether we could accept it, deny it, whatever.
Okay, that is a discussion I guess we can have with Cindy.
If planning,
Because it's my understanding is she's an expert in this field. So she's got all of our ordinances and she reviews everything, every application she gets, every question she gets against our ordinances.
well, we won't know about any variances coming at us until a week before our meeting.
If you would like prior information, we can work that out, but that's kind of the way it was structured.
So we're gonna let the planning people do it all then and.
You make the decision on whether or not you're gonna approve or disapprove, or if there's something else additional that you need out of that application. That all comes to you. You guys are the decision makers. She's just doing all the legwork for the applications to get them to you.
Yeah, it's a whole new system. Well, I shouldn't say whole, it's a different system. We had somebody in the office before and now we have nobody in the office.
Here's to go with what Joe was, if they're not gonna get any, but we used to at least know if somebody was applying and we could drive by a place, visualize it before the meeting.
So you guys would get prior information before the packet came out. Okay. Okay. Well, we can talk to Cindy about that, and if that was your preference, we'll let her know that.
Chairman or vice chairman, somebody to know ahead of time what's coming up in the next month. You know, cause it's gotta be posted, most of it, well, has to be posted for 10 days in order to act on stuff as far as
Yep, and
ordinances, I know.
she's doing that part of
I
it
say
too.
In the past, there's kind of a telephone communication between the office person and myself or somebody to where we knew kind of what to do. And if there was questions about it, even on this accessory building thing, Susan and I were bouncing things back and forth to try to get it to a better format. And if there's no communication between the planning company that the town board hired and planning commission, it kind of leaves a gap that we could be blindsided by stuff that it's gonna take another month to get anything done. And I'm not sure what the rest of the planning and zoning feels about that type of setup. And again, it's a new deal. We can try it and see what happens. But it'd be nice to have some method of communication, even copy me on an email, copy Jim, me, or the whole planning commission on an email about what may be coming up. And then
Okay.
if somebody has questions, they can bring it back through the office or the planning. And I don't want to waste a lot of money back and forth with a planning company. But I do think that some notice ahead of time would help planning make their decisions and look into different aspects of what is coming up.
Well, how about I set up a call between you and Cindy and you guys can talk through some of that?
It's appropriate. I don't know if Vandy's okay with that?
Yeah.
Prior to the meeting agenda getting set up, and then, you know, I just think there should be some communication between the hired planner and the planning commission, so we
Sure.
keep all of the channels open.
Yep, like I said, we can,
If there's a, shouldn't say there could be controversy or some little thing in there that maybe could be corrected before it hits the planning and zoning commission for a decision on something. I
Okay.
know we're only a recommending board, the town board's final decision, but if we could, you know, have prior notice, I think it would be beneficial.
well, we'll set up a call between you and Cindy so you can have those discussions with her. There's a motion and a second.
Consent agenda with the addition I just put in.
I amend my recommendation that we approve with your additional comments.
A second. it.
She'll get that written down right.
That one, that's- Any further discussion on the consent agenda? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carries. Okay. Now, we're into old business number 5, the proposed zoning ordinance amendments on accessory buildings. At the November meeting, and I wasn't here, but there was comments that the attorney recommend, or not, the attorney regarding state statutes, it was determined the planning commission wouldn't be able to act on it at that meeting. I understand that. And in the October meeting, I looked back at the minutes and we had presented something on this escalating scale as far as acreage versus building size, and it went up and that there, and there was some questions about at the November meeting, I guess there was questions about larger acreage, you know, because what it would take to do it. In the original proposal that we had, it had a maximum size of 4,600 square feet on 10 acres and larger with 14-foot sidewalls. And that seemed to be okay as a recommendation. But then after the November meeting, there was something about 20 acres that it would be, if over 20 acres, the ordinance could read with the approval of the township with a variance, they could have a larger building. The original thing that we had drafted was if over 10 acres, with approval of the town board and planning commission, it could be approved. So what's the difference between 10 acres and 20 acres? It was larger than 10. So 20 acres really shouldn't matter because it's larger than 10. You're
I
following
thought it
me
was
on
that the people with more and more larger properties, it seemed like it capped, the building size capped at a
At
certain
10 acres.
acreage. And the people that were concerned were people that had 20, 30, 40.
But it
50
says
acres.
if larger than 10, the original proposal said if larger than 10, it could be, what did it say on it? It said could be larger if approved by the town board and reviewed by planning and zoning commission. That was the proposal that,
I think it was that they wanted something
I think some of
written
it
in
was
size
like
so
that,
that
but they also wanted different increments between the 4 and the 10 to get bigger buildings.
they wanted
Well,
something
okay.
so that people didn't have to come and get approval, so they could
For
plan
variances.
for their property. They could say, I have this property, I want to do this and not have to go through, you know, drawings and surveys just to come here and ask permission. They'd like something in writing so they could know, hey, if I have this many acres, I could do
it
this.
says that in the escalating
But you
scale.
just said if it's over 10, they have to get approval.
If it's over 10, it could be over 4,600 square feet and over 14-foot
With
sidewalls.
approval,
With approval of the town board through a variance process.
right, but that was the thing, they didn't want to have to get approval.
So what you're saying is we duplicate.
Well,
We did an unnecessary thing.
the recommendation, what I read, and again, I wasn't at the meeting, but it says if over 20 acres,
Right.
and then after that, it goes back to the same language we had.
Right.
It said over 10 acres, they could get the same approval with the variance process. And in the proposal that we had in the red, if you look on page 3 of 5 from the November meeting, or the minutes that I read, it says, this size may be increased if approved by the town board after review and recommendation of the planning and zoning commission through a variance application process as defined in sections, whatever. The original, the recommendation that Susan had, it says if over 20 acres, with the approval of the township with a variance, so 20 is over 10, so why even go to the 20? Just go to the 10 and leave it that way.
And you're saying it's unnecessary what we did.
Well,
But if somebody, is the way it's rewritten, if somebody has 11 acres, they don't need a approval, right?
no, anything, well, if they're gonna have a building over 4,600 square feet or 4,800 square feet,
And anything over 10 acres. 11 acres or 20 or 30.
anything over
they have
10
to have a
acres,
variance.
and if they want a building over 4,600 square feet or 14-foot sidewalls, they would need to get a variance.
Yeah, what I remember is the people that were here talking about, their issue with that was if they had more acreage, they didn't want to be at the mercy of us.
Well, a 4,600 square foot building, I mean, you're looking at 60 by 80, 60 by 76, something like that. That's a big building. And
Isn't it the number of buildings too? Wasn't it the amount of square footage in more than one? It wasn't necessarily one building, but.
Well, that got it, yeah, there was something in there about a cumulative, right, I had that circled here somewhere too. Cumulative acre. Maximum well, that was on the less. than
This
5
document we
acres.
have here, is it, I don't, is highlighted what was
Well, the one
changing
thing,
on it? Or is this as was, is it's written now? Or is
Well,
it-
there's, strikeouts in there.
So like this,
Yeah, that's the strikeout, and then the bold is what they're.
this is what's the proposal, that's a change.
I just think that the comments that I saw, that if over 20 acres was kind of redundant because we are already, if over 10 acres, they could apply for a variance. And if we're gonna go for, you can go to a escalating scale between 10 acres and 20 acres, but how often are we gonna run into that? And if people wanna build something bigger than 4,600 square feet on, 10 acres, they can build it right now.
Okay,
The way the
so-
proposed ordinance.
The way I'm reading this is 10 acres and larger is written in here versus, and then it's an escalating from 4 acres to 10
From
acres.
2 of, yeah, right, 4 acres to 10, yeah.
So the 10 acres are fine too.
10 acres are fine, but these notes that they said if over 20 acres, the board with approval of the township with a variance. And with that variance comes in. we
Where are
already-
you reading that at?
Right here.
Page,
I don't see 20 acres in.
page 2 of 3
Oh,
of
I'm
last
sorry, I'm
month's
further
minutes.
down.
Page 2 of 3 of last month's minutes. Um,
What do you suggest we just drop that because we really,
Well, I
it's not
don't
going
see where we
necessary?
need the 20 acres, because they're
Right,
gonna need a
yeah.
variance over 10 anyhow.
Sure.
So anything over 10 should, the reason for that was in my discussions with Susan and different things, you can have 100 acres, but if most of it's a swamp, it should go through a zoning review with the variance request would go through that to make sure it's meeting wetland requirements, setback requirements and other things.
Well, and I think they said that by time it would get to us, it would have already gone through all of that before they would bring it to the variance. Because if it didn't qualify, that's why it would be a variance.
Right.
So they were
If it-
wanting to do this, to build the building without a variance if it met all the wetland and setbacks. If I remember that correctly. That was the purpose of this. So they didn't have to get a variance for the building if it met all the other setbacks and stuff.
But just like if somebody has 5 acres,
Well,
they
what
can
you're
look at
saying
this
is
and
it's
know what
already in
size
there.
they can do.
Well,
People that
Because
have
if
20
we have for
acres
10
wanted
acres,
to look at
why do we
this and
need
know
to
what
Yes,
go
they
20?
could
but they would
do.
still have to have the permit
Right,
and
that
that
was when I.
with the surveys and stuff that would determine the setbacks and stuff.
right. But it just like, so what I remember is they wanted just like we have incrementally up in acreage. They didn't want it to stop at 10. They wanted it to be incrementally building size 10, 20, and higher, so they didn't, if you say, well, if it's more than 10, you're just gonna have to come to us and hope we approve it, that's what they're trying to avoid, is to have something. Because otherwise, why don't we just say, well, if you want to do anything, you have to come to us. Then you
Well,
can
but how
say
many-
on
Okay,
whatever acreage you have 5 acres, just plan, but you're gonna have to get a variance from us on everything. Because people don't like that, because then they can't plan with certainty on what they're doing, and they don't want to go pay a surveyor to look how much usable land they have and do all that.
Well, I
And
think
then
they
come to
still
us,
would
and
have
then
to
we
do
say,
that if they have wetlands.
right, but they could know, if I get through all this, I pay all this
Yes.
cost, I know if I make the parameters of the buildable area, I can build a building this size, but the way it's written, they could do all that surveying and say, okay, I have a buildable size here, but because of the way it's written, I gotta present it and hope that you approve it. Because there's, you know what I'm saying?
What he's saying is that what we did was a duplication, because it's already in there for 10 acres.
well, yeah, it was in there
Right, but
for
it's
10
saying, you're
acres.
saying that, okay, if it's over 10 acres, then everybody over 10 acres just has to come and
If
hope
they
that we
want a
approve
building
it.
Bigger than 4,600 square feet and 14-foot sidewalk,
Right,
that would go against.
but
the variance.
their question was if they have 100 acres, they think it should say, well, on 100, if you have 100 acres and you qualify under all these survey and buildable land, you should be able to have more building size.
And you could.
On
with the
100
variance.
acres then, right, but then you're, again, when you say variance, that means asking us permission and hoping that we approve it.
That's what we passed according to this. We did that.
That's what it was.
It says right now, if over 20 acres, the ordinance.
No,
could
we
be
didn't
with
pass
this.
that. That was a recommendation. That was,
That was a public hearing.
It was, but that stuff, the way I read it, that stuff to be reviewed by
Okay.
planning and zoning.
Okay.
Well, I thought we had it in there for anything over 10 acres,
Yes. that's
needed to be,
Same thing.
pretty much, but I don't think that we need to put an escalating scale from 10 acres to 20 acres. I think that would be ridiculous for the size of building. Because I think the property, the building location and the property location needs to be scrutinized more, and it could be before they go for a variance, but the zoning administrator, zoning company, whatever, they could look at the property, determine there is a location that would be suitable for a bigger building. But to be a bigger than 4,600 square feet would require a variance regardless of anything over 10 acres.
Which is how it's written now.
That's the way, well, not written now, it's the way it was proposed in the October meeting. Well,
That's the proposal before us tonight.
before tonight, yeah, it was that 10 acre limit, and then anything over that would require variance and approval of the township. If you wanna bump it up to 20, I guess you could, but how many instances are there in the township that that can happen?
But that last meeting, there was at least 3 people here.
And then,
talking
but think
about
about, okay, the other thing it says in our current ordinance that may come around, if the property is developed and that building doesn't fit on the, acreage, say you have 100 acres and then you're gonna subdivide it. And that building is 6,000 square feet, whatever, and it doesn't fit the zoning, then they have to tear the building down or downsize the building in order to meet the code.
Yeah.
And many people have done that. They may have acreage, but when they go to subdivide it or develop it, the building doesn't fit the code. And then, I don't think the township has ever made anybody tear a building down or move it, but
Well, that'd be them if they build a building, they use their property in one way and then
as
later
long
they
as, well,
can't
I
use
know
it.
of instances where the township should have made it happen, but they didn't, because the people built the building and then subdivided and the big building is still standing. And that's kind of, our township,
That's
the
just
lot
not
sizes
enforced.
aren't gonna get any smaller, okay? As far as I can see, they're not gonna be down to acre and a half or whatever, but they could be 2.5 acres. You could divide 20 acres into plots. Have a building oversize on what, I mean, we can put some language into the new ordinance or amended ordinance to accommodate this, but I think it's gonna bring up more more scrutiny, more difficulty for the office to determine what they can build and what they can't build. Maybe wrong. Yes, sir. Your name and,
Tyler back, 23839.
okay, thank you.
So I'm one of the guys that was here last meeting to talk about this. I have just shy.
So
You can't do something,
you can,
but I'd have to jump through a bunch of hoops to get there, correct?
many of us have had to apply for variances in
Yeah,
order
but
to do
that's what
stuff
we're trying to
beyond our
stop.
code.
But that's what we're trying to stop. Why should I, if I already take taxes on my property? My property, why should I, come to the township taxes, pay a filing fee, because I want to do something that I already paid for my property? Why should I pay more to do something on my own property?
How flexible do we want our ordinances to be? Mr. Kramer.
Let's sell it. Just don't know what they can put on there until they get a variance.
No, because that's all in the code and the computer.
Sell a piece of property because the ordinance.
If it's more than 10 acres, yeah, you're right. If you have a property more than 10 acres, you don't know what it can be used for because you need to get permission to do it.
What can you do with it? If somebody wants to come in and put a building up and start a business.
If they're following the ordinances that are currently in place, they can do whatever was within our ordinances. If there's something beyond what our ordinances allow, and again, how broad do we want to make it? I mean, 20 acres could work, but we have to have ordinances of some kind, okay? And if we put this thing at 20 acres, it still says with 20 acres with town board approval.
Right.
So they still can't do it without a variance, the way the recommendation was on these notes.
Everything you got to do here, you got to go to the planning and zoning and then to the town board before you can do it.
So then why have ordinances at all?
Any investor coming in and want to do something other than putting houses up.
So then why have ordinances at all if we're just gonna open up the door and let everybody do what they want?
Question. Why have these? I paid a lot of money.
Still, I
I
trust
would like to do
me.
with my own property as no. I understand that I can't build a place out of a heaping pile of garbage and scrap. I can tell you there's houses back here that have 400 lawnmowers in the front yard and a half torn down garage. Why am I being messed with? When I wanna build a nice shop, put my stuff and hide it, so you guys don't have to see my stuff when you drive past. Why do I have to pay thousands of dollars extra to get your approval for something on my property?
My point is that the ordinance, you gotta have the ordinances. But it seems like it's written, there's ordinances up to a point of property size, but then when you hit 10 acres and above, then you just, like they say, you have to just come here and hope that we approve it. Where if it's 9.5 acres, you can just read this, oh, I can do this on my. But if I have 10.5 acres, I don't know what I can do on my property because I have to just do all the planning and all that. And then come here and submit it and pay fees and then hope that you say, yeah, we'll let you do it or not. We don't know. So I think the ordinance, the issue is that the ambiguity of when you get to a certain 10 acres and above, then there is no ordinances. The ordinance is coming to us and hoping we think it's a good idea.
And if your proposal for something fits the neighborhood, fits the surrounding properties and the development nearby it, I mean, that's what planning is supposed to do, is make sure that we are organized in the way the township develops, to be sure we don't, you know, develop something right next door to, like 2.5 acre lots of development that some developer put millions of dollars in to develop, and then we put in something that is not appropriate for that area. That's what I'm.
Well, I understand that, but to me, if we're just talking about the building size you can put on your lot, shouldn't be, if you can say up to 10 acres, you can have this size building, why can't it say up to 20 acres, you can put this size building, and 30 acres, you can have, like, you could just do a formula, so many square feet per acre, you can have buildings on your.
Did anybody from the Planning and Zoning Commission look at surrounding communities to see what they have regarding this type of thing? I
think that's
did.
where
I
we
went
got
in
this
depth at
stuff
it.
from.
Did anybody else look at it to see what they allow? Columbus Township was the most, whatever liberal thing on the thing as far as acreage, but they got a 5 acre minimum lot size too. Unless you're within so many feet of a lake or whatever. But I looked at Ham Lake, East Bethel, Columbus, and the different surrounding communities about what they allowed. And that's what the recommendation that Susan and I talked about earlier on. And as far as addressing, you know, building size on 20 acres and more, that most of them said it was at the discretion of the town board and planning. And again, that's where this initial draft came down from. And if we want to change that criteria, I guess we can do that, but I don't know that we should. I'd be the Lone Ranger hanging out on that, but I think that trying to be consistent with surrounding communities, that's what most of this stuff was drafted on. And it said in the minutes from the last meeting, look at surrounding communities and see what they've done. I did. And if anybody else did, good for you, and then bring back something that's appropriate. Other than that, we're gonna have our own set of standards out here and then limit, development to a point. I mean, Columbus allows for taller sidewalls, but they have to be 20 foot from a property line in Columbus. There's different criteria. That's what I say. I looked at the different stuff on different size acres, different height of buildings, different square footage. And Columbus, again, we're talking 10-foot setback on a building. Columbus was 20-foot minimum. And it also had to do with wall height versus setback. There was things like that that came into play with different communities. And
Building.
so
That's what we're trying to do. I'll have.
So what, okay, I'm going. What would the planning commission again, what I'm gonna say is, no, I'm not gonna be out of sorts. We're dealing with something that you want, an individual. We're looking at the benefit of the whole township as a planning and zoning commission. And we've done this in the last few years, we've done it too many times. Look at the issues that one person has, and we try to make an ordinance to accommodate their wishes. And nothing against you at all. But if we start modeling ordinances after a few individuals, they're not gonna fit the whole community. And that's kind of what you go back to the chicken ordinance, that was a fiasco. We ended up with nothing out of the whole deal. And because of one person, not one, a minority of the people in the township that wanted this dealt with. And I want to be careful that the township board and the planning and zoning doesn't deal with stuff on a few people in the audience when we're looking at the benefit of the whole township as far as development and planning for future. I don't deny that you could have a bigger building, but the exceptions are the guys with the big acreage. A lot of people have 2.5 acres built on a plat. And then somebody's gonna build some other big building. And again, you're talking, setback and stuff, and Columbus Township has 20-foot setback. If we have a bigger building for bigger acreage, then we should make more setback for it, so it doesn't infringe on the platted lots that we have. That could be done. This is stuff that has to be considered, though, if we're looking at larger buildings, larger acreage, then,
Think increase setbacks.
increase setbacks so it doesn't encroach on people that had their 2.5 acres with their nice manicured lawns and everything else, and then somebody builds a 20-foot high building, a warehouse, basically. If we can do something with that, that may work to do things, but yeah,
Why do you feel that you couldn't get proper variance for your property?
I'm saying that I don't. I couldn't get it.
there's the $300 application.
I'm not just speaking for myself. Speaking for everybody that has more than 20 acres. They don't want to build a barn or a full shed at this current moment. Want to build one. My fight is for everybody that has it. They can go forth with their wishes of their property that they paid hard-earned money for this day and age. Money to own something. Shouldn't have to.
My wishes are the planning and zoning. If you think it's mine, I've been around here a long time and I've seen violations of stuff and people upset by development around them. And other people, I understand. I mean, I've lived here for 50-some years, 60 years. I've seen development. I've seen how it affects people and stuff. And when you say you'll never build on your property, never say never. Okay, things can happen. But the building size versus acreage, we can change something in our ordinance in this proposal. I mean, to make accessory buildings bigger on bigger acreage, that can be done. But we have to look at other criteria besides just the acreage and the building size. We have to look at setbacks, building height, encroachment on how close to a development you are. I mean, I think them things have to be addressed if we're gonna change something on what we had proposed back in October. Okay, and I'm not, as far as having to pay for a variance to do something beyond our ordinances. If you can afford to build a, 10,000 square foot building, you can afford a variance to make it happen. So then how do we establish ordinances if we keep expanding our ordinances to accommodate? That's my deep passion. What's that? On building size? It's expanded. I don't know that it shrunk at all.
When there was more than one.
There's always been more than one accessory building. It's just
You can have one accessory building.
depending on your acreage.
Correct. Have up to one.
to 200 square feet. In the cumulative of all accessory buildings, that's the square footage that we had, and that part of it is also a question on here, the cumulative square footage that I'm not sure where we're gonna land with that, but as far as the 20 acres and more, if we're gonna go with larger buildings, how are we gonna define that? What's gonna be the maximum? 20 acres or more, it's no limits?
That'd be limits.
Well, this, what it says on the,
Proportional to the acreage.
the notes, it says on here, if over 20 acres, the ordinance could read with the approval of the township through a variance. That's what the recommendation of the previous zoning administrator said. Again, if we're gonna go without a variance on larger acreage, I don't know how you would word that and keep it consistent with things, okay? I'm not real sure how we could draft an ordinance that would accommodate, unless we just
You
open it
can't
up. to-
accommodate everybody, every size of parcel, but it's obviously gonna be more work to add ordinances instead of just saying, get a variance. I don't know what the parcel sizes, number of parcel sizes are in Linwood that if you accommodate, if you move the above 10 acres to require a variance, if you move it 20 acres to require a variance, would that take care of a lot of more than 10 but less than 20? I don't know. There has to be a line certainly where you say if it's above this acreage, you need a variance, because if somebody's got 300 acres and they want to build a city there, they're gonna have to get a variance. You can't write regulations for every situation. But I'm just wondering if you can just go, how many people have more than 10, less than 20? Or if we just bump that up to that and say, if you have 19 acres, you can put this number of buildings with this number of square footage. This setback is a greater setback because your building's 2 feet higher. Now you have to have a 20-foot setback instead of 10 or whatever. That would take care of a lot of people, or maybe that would only take care of 2 people, and you got 50 people that have 100-acre lots, and it wouldn't help. That I don't know. My viewpoint is, I agree that it's the good of the township, but I'm all for freedom of, individuals who own their properties. So if we can do something that can accommodate both, that you can put rules in so that they know if they go forward, they will be able to do their building and comply with whatever regulations we put in there with setbacks, and as opposed to just, hey, if you're above 10 acres, you gotta come in and hope that we approve it.
Again, it's going to be a restriction. And his argument is if you own the property, you should be able to do anything you want. And that's not realistic.
And I don't, no, it isn't. I don't
Not
agree with that.
realistic in today's world, because any property I own, I have so damn many restrictions on it, I can't move a parking spot. So that's the way the world is.
But you can read the rules and say, oh, I can only do this with my building. I wanna put something else on if I wanna make a parking spot on my lot, I gotta go apply for a variance and ask you guys if you'll do it. That's the difference as I see it, that to not, for less individuals to have to come and ask permission to do something, where if they just have a rule, they can read it. I mean, I like the rules, but if that's a rule, you got that size lot, that's what it is. They could still apply for a variance if they wanna try to get by it, but they're not probably gonna.
That's the way it is
That's
right
what the
now.
rule is. But if you own 11 acres, then you can't do it. You wanna do something, you gotta come here and ask us.
You're saying,
And maybe it's just my feeling on it, for realistically, I'm newer here. For making rules, I don't wanna make more work for more people. So maybe I'm just being altruistic on what I think, freedom for people, and it should just stay the way it is and let people be mad.
you would like us to establish a strict series of rules so that for over 20 acres, you can do all this stuff without getting a variance? You realize how
As
much
long
work
as it
that,
meets
you
the
realize how
setbacks.
much work that would be?
No, that's what I'm saying. There has to be a upper limit to it. That's what I'm saying, because right now it's at 10 acres. Right? I thought it was making it
The
to 20.
proposal was up to 10. Beyond 10, you'd need a variance to go. to get
What is it
approval.
now?
Right now, as, I don't remember the current ordinance.
Right, I thought right now it's at anything over ten, you need a variance.
Yeah.
And I thought they were
This
talking
was-
about
But-
changing it to 20. So if you have less than 20, you don't need a variance. It would just be set. What maximum size of your building. That's what I thought this was.
The proposal that I talked to Susan about back in October was an escalating scale up to 10 acres. After 10 acres, you would need a variance to go over the 4,600 square feet or sidewall height.
I thought that's what it is now.
Now, that was a proposal. The current ordinance isn't even that. The current ordinance is 3,600 square feet maximum. Okay. on
Up
any
to what
lots.
acreage?
What's that?
What, up to what acreage?
That doesn't, it's a maximum.
Well, just
size
any,
scale
if you
with-
have any.
With 14-foot sidewalls, something under 5 acres was, or under 2.5 acres with 12-foot sidewalls. And
But the way
from
it's written
that,
right now, whether you have 10 acres or 500,
It's 3,600 square feet,
3,600.
and we increased that to 4,600 square feet through this escalating scale of 500 feet per each acre, 500 square foot for every acre over 4.99 or whatever.
If you look at page 12 of your packet, it's got that scale where it starts at 4.99. Maximum size of 3,000 square foot with 14-foot sidewalls.
12, you said?
Yes.
Well, yeah, I got that in my notes here too, the escalating scale. But that goes up to 10 acres. That was a proposal. That's not in the ordinance. That was a proposal for the amended ordinance. But that hasn't been approved yet. That was approved?
No. I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
the proposal.
That's a, and then that was what went to, I believe, the November meeting, and then there was discussion about what about if you own over 20 acres? And that's where my initial comments here were 20 acres is over 10, so it would still require a variance if you want to build over 4,600 square feet or over 14-foot sidewalk. That could be accomplished through a variance process. This person is looking to have anything over, I don't know how many acres, but anything over 10, pretty well wide open, do whatever you want. I don't think that's realistic for us to establish ordinances that way. That's my opinion. You guys.
So right now, if there's a maximum building size, no matter what, size your parcel is.
Billy, do you know, I don't have it in front of me, the current maximum size of buildings is 3,600, I think.
Let me take a look.
Without a variance.
Without a variance was 3,600 square feet. That's what and when I initially started looking at increasing stuff, I thought that was a maximum. We went from that up to 4,600, up to 10 acres.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
36.
So the way it's written now, it's 3,600 maximum building size on any size part.
And 14-foot sidewalls on anything over, I forget what. There was like, anything over 2.5 acres, anything under 2.5 acres was 12-foot sidewalls, anything over that could be 14-foot side.
And what you're saying that maybe change it to be 4,600,
Well, the proposal-
anything over 10 would get 4,600.
With a variance.
Oh, so you'd have to have a variance even to get to 40.
No. You want, if you're over 46,
So you
you can build
so-
up to
so with this
46 without a
change-
variance.
With this change, people with more than 10 acres would gain 1,000 square foot on their maximum building size without a variance.
Not the way it's proposed. Anything, the way this was proposed, anything over 10 acres would require a variance if you want a bigger building than 4,600 square feet.
Right,
That's what you just
4,600, but not 3,600, because right now it's 3,600. So if you had a 15-acre lot right now, you can't build bigger than 3,600 without a variance.
Currently.
But if you change that, you could build a 4,600 square
Yeah,
foot
okay.
building without a variance,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
To me, that seems like a step in the right direction. That would be maybe a reasonable thing to do. And if it's more than 20, yeah, they need a variance for anything.
Yeah.
For
okay, but
anybody
what
over
about the
more than
gap
46
between
needs
10
more.
and 20. You're still at 10 to 20, you're still stuck at 4,600 square feet. The way this.
Right, but the way it's
proposal
written
is.
now, they're stuck at 3,600. So if we
Before
rewrite
this
it,
proposal, yes.
if you have up to 20 acres, or anything above 10, you can go to 4,600. So anybody who owns a 10-acre lot or larger, if we change this, they'll gain 1,000 square foot on their building size ability without a variance. I think
That's what the
that would be a
proposal-
reasonable
That's what
thing
the
to do.
proposal is.
Okay, that's what I would think. I would say yes to that, would be a reasonable.
What the people
And then,
in the
and then anything
audience-
above 46 that want more than 46, they have to get a variance.
They want.
No, but you're right, you can't, there's no end. I mean, it's an incremental step in the right direction to me to give more flexibility to people that own more than 10 acres. It's not ideal for them. Nothing's ideal in life. Yeah, you can't just put no limits on it. It's gotta be a limit on it. And we can't just vote. It's not realistic for us to
What
change
you
the
said-
ordinance to be.
What you just said reflects what was the proposal was for November.
Okay.
Okay, but then people in the audience, this man and whatever, people came and said, what about people that own more? They should be able to do whatever they want. I don't feel in this day and age that's realistic to open the doors to, 20 acres or 10 acres and more. You can do whatever you want without coming to the township for approval.
I
They
don't,
gotta go
I
for
don't,
approval,
I don't
not
approve
that.
of doing anything you want on any size parcel. I think what would be fair, but maybe unrealistic to do would be incrementally go up. If you have, 20 to 40 acres, you can do a building size of this. If you have 40 to 60 acres, you can do a little bit bigger building. That would be reasonable, but probably unrealistic for us to write ordinances. For every 20 acres bigger, you get to go this much bigger of a building. That would be fair, but it wouldn't be reasonable to try to write the ordinance.
Ability to build a bigger building, the more property you have without a variance.
Up to whatever set square footage for that.
And 3,600 square feet on any acre without a variance.
Now, forty,
The 10.
that now the township has hired someone. Two variants, is that correct?
We have contractor, yes.
So that would eliminate coming to meetings just from what the township has already done. You would just have to meet with that lady. I was unaware of it too, but it makes like sense. We've done a good thing.
But they
But you
still have
still-
to abide by our ordinances, whatever
We
we
would still
have
have to
now
approve
or
the
whatever we
variance.
amend in the
Correct.
future. They're gonna have to make sure whatever the request is fits within our ordinance.
I don't think that's his argument. I think his argument is the cost of doing that. Is that correct?
The variances are expensive.
So this lady might eliminate a lot of those expenses.
But she's
No.
not gonna allow them unless they fit within our ordinances.
Yeah, then
And this
she would take
company-
into us, we'd still have to do the same, get a variance if it's outside of that. But that's what I'm saying, is I kind of agree with what he's saying, just in parcel size, proportional, building size, increase the setbacks. You have 100 acres, you can put a 6,000 square foot building, you gotta have a 40 foot setback.
How
or
many
whatever
people in our
proportion.
township have 100 acres that, yeah, that's it. To establish an ordinance on that big of
Well,
a
how big is
scale
it? How big?
doesn't seem
What's
realistic.
What's a large parcel in Linwood?
Anybody with that much acreage probably is farming, and that comes under, if you're making your living on farming, that's a different aspect of things. That gives you more, levity to have a bigger building and have a barn, a cattle barn. or something. What's that?
Stop at 50.
Okay,
So let's do 10, 25, 50. All we're adding is just those two extras that we have to figure out. Building square footage and set,
it's, okay.
and if they,
That's
if they
possible.
exceed those, they have to get a variance.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think on any type of building like that type of stuff, it still would require a zoning review. As far as meeting with the wetlands, the
Right.
setbacks. it
Right, but
still
they would need a
require-
setback, so that they would know.
But it may
if-
not require a variance if
Okay.
they were, whatever.
If they know, if they get that, they know if they pass those, then they can build it. They don't have to get a variance.
I didn't think we were looking at warehouses when I was looking at this ordinance. I thought we were looking at residential property, RA and R1, which is, we kind of
Yeah.
recommended putting them into one.
That is
When
what
you're
we're looking at,
talking
isn't it?
50 acres and a 10,000 square foot building, you're talking warehouses and storage. It may be personal
I'm not talking
storage, but a lot of
10,000
times it's rented
10,000 square
storage.
foot. I'm just
What's
saying,
that? Well,
if
no, but
somebody
that's what
that-
he's talking, a bigger acreage, bigger
10,000.
building, unlimited building size on
You didn't
29
say
acres.
eliminate, you just said a number, put a number.
Let's set a number. I didn't say unlimited. Set a number. Example, 1,000 square foot building.
Yeah, yeah,
450
yeah. No, I know, but it's gonna come to that when you're talking that, okay, we could put increments up bigger than the 10 acres. But as long as we put, again, the zoning review would have to happen. When they come for a building permit, they're gonna have to go through a zoning.
They do
review.
anyway.
Right, yeah, but. And then if the zoning review comes up with, issues regarding, surrounding property, wetland infringement,
Setbacks.
Wetland,
that type of stuff,
water,
that would come up,
drainage,
and
yeah.
that may require stuff.
Yep.
Because a lot of people, like I say,
But
they've
that's
got
true on even
60
a 10
acres,
acre
but
lot.
70 or 50 of it is underwater.
Right.
So you have to be
But
sure.
it's the same
that
thing,
it
you have a
fits.
10 acre lot, you gotta make sure that 8 acres of it isn't swamp. I mean, right? So it's,
Yeah, oh, it's-
so it would be fair, it would be the same for everybody. It's just percentage wise
So if we
increases
go
as you
with-
go up with acres.
If we go with the proposal that is 10 acres and larger, okay, we'd have to eliminate.
You'd have to do 10 to 25. And 25 to 50.
And I would cap it at that.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
no
if there's
reason
not-
to go over 50 acres.
Cause you're right, 50
anywhere in
acres
the
is large,
township.
that would be a special circumstance, but if somebody's got 100 acres and wants to do something,
It's not
it would be
considered
unusual,
RA.
it wouldn't be a typical residential
Right.
project.
It wouldn't be
So-
considered RA under this
Right.
proposal.
So how, okay, if we were to amend this or change this thing to accommodate the 10 to 25, 25 to 50, to do that, we need to set parameters as far as building square footage and building height, or sidewall height, whatever you want to do with it. But, and again, I think, property line setbacks would need to be incorporated
Yep.
into that. if
Oh,
you're gonna
absolutely.
have
That,
type of
that the
thing.
setback should
Them
increase
type of things.
proportional to the lot size.
I think we should take that part and take some time and do some research on those two additionals with sidewalls and stuff before we present it and get Tom and Rory's opinion on it as well.
Yeah, and I figure the
And-
square footage size for those, for that 25 and 50, we'll have to figure out what's the proper
Like
square
I say,
footage.
the
size
most,
for-
whatever liberal stuff that I seen was Columbus Township. You can look at other communities, but Columbus lets you go with higher buildings, and more setback though. And acreage was a factor, but again, Columbus, well, they're a city now, they're not a township. But we can look at increments above 10 acres without the variance. I can agree with that, as long as there's criteria in there that the office can
Right.
go by to make it easier to understand for everybody, the applicant and the office, to know that this is, and again, this may be allowed. I wouldn't say it will be allowed because of the zoning review that has to go through.
But that's on every building.
Yeah, every building needs that, so it's,
Yeah, every building permit should, needs that.
Right.
yeah. I think that's part of the criteria, I know,
Mhm.
oops, too many times. But I think that, as far as the acreage, how many increments do we want to go? We got up to, 5 or
10
whatever,
to 25, 25 to 50.
nothing in between? That what the rest
You
of the
could
planning,
do-
zoning would like to do? I guess I want to just have a consensus of,
You could do 5 to 15, and then you could do 15 to 25 and do them more in the 10-acre increments. Or something like that,
and then,
versus
Yeah.
every acre gets something different, like is currently proposed. I mean, between 4 and 10, you have every acre getting incremental increases.
Which kind of makes sense, because the smaller your lot is, the more
Right.
important that is proportionally. But as you get larger, I think you can do a spread that's wider, going
Mhm.
25 to 50 instead of, yeah, we could do 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, but I don't think that's
No, I
necessary
don't
to
think that's
go
necessary
in
like
that
that.
small.
but with each, acreage in increment, you would go with bigger square footage of buildings? I think there's got to be a cap, I mean.
Yeah,
it
there
was-
has to be a
That's what
cap,
that's
but
what I'm
yes,
saying.
so 10 to 25 would be a certain cap, 25 to 50
Right,
would be
but
a certain
then
cap. With more setbacks.
Always had an improvement of what we got right now.
Right now, they have to get a
They're
variance for
avoiding a
those.
variance. If we establish an ordinance, they would avoid applying for a variance.
And is it also on this large acreage, they can only still have that same number of buildings, or can they have multiple buildings that
The
Have the
acreage
same
and most of
square
the stuff,
footage of the totals? So the total square, it makes sense to me that the larger your property is, you might want to have two buildings that you have to have them, where you'd set a maximum square footage of buildings, but not necessarily where they have to build a giant.
that has been in
One
our,
building, they
it's
could
in
just
our
build two
ordinance now, the
garages or something.
cumulative square
So it is a
footage.
cumulative.
This isn't,
Square-
well, it isn't really incorporated into this yet, but that was, I guess, assumed that would be the accumulative square footage for that big of
Yeah,
acreage.
I think that would be important, so they could have
But-
two medium-sized buildings
And the
instead of one
language
giant
might be in
building.
here, I thought I saw accumulative square footage somewhere in the thing,
I thought I saw that too.
but,
I
that
can
needs
tell
to
you
be
what page
included
it
in
is.
it, for acreage versus building size, so you can have, two 3,600 square foot building to make, 7,200 square
Yep.
feet overall, I mean, that needs to be included in there somehow. But again, how many buildings that size do you need for a residential property? If you get beyond a certain size, pretty soon you're commercial, because you're storing everybody's stuff in it, or you got Or it's agricultural, which is again, a whole different category. If they have a cattle farm or something where they have farm machinery in there and they're making their livelihood off of a farm, that gets into a different category than what we're talking about here.
Right, but you can, I mean, I have, you know, 2 pontoon boats, a ski boat, I have a pull behind trailer, I have a Sprinter camper van, I've got a big truck, I've got an enclosed trailer, flat trailer. I've got an old Mustang that's sitting outside getting destroyed because I don't have a garage to put it in. You know, I have.
You can take that to my house.
I have. I mean, and we're just a couple, my wife and I, but we have a lot of toys like that. And I'm a metal worker and I like to work on cars and stuff. So I turn away things because I don't have a place to keep them. So the size, if I had the ability, I'd have garages like that. But I only have a 1 acre lot, so. I don't know, building size, yeah, you don't want a warehouse, but it's easy for people that do a lot of sports and snowmobiles. You got, you know, ice houses, people easily fill these large buildings.
Well, you know,
But your 60 by 80 is 4,800 square feet on 29 acres. You're not looking for a big increase over what we're proposing here.
No, I'm not.
You know, and I hate to, even like your escalating scale from 10 to 15 to 25 and on up. The size of a building, how big a building do you need? I mean, you're talking less than 5,000 feet for what you're looking to do. And if you go to double that at 10,000 square feet, you're renting storage to
Nobody's
somebody.
saying 10,000. You're the
Huh?
only one saying 10,000 feet. No one
No,
here's
no,
saying
but
10,000.
you're talking an escalating scale. If you go on up to 50 acres, you could be allowed up to 10,000 square foot of
We don't have to
buildings.
say that. We can say, no, you can only have 7. We can. set
Okay,
whatever-
okay.
That's the number, that's what we have to figure out, is what's the reasonable size of a building on any size parcel. Inwood. There is a limit. Yeah, you don't want a warehouse.
So then rather than an escalating scale, we're already allowing 4,600 on 10 acres. If we went to 8,000 square foot unlimited, on larger than 10 acres, it would avoid the variance process. If we went
Yeah,
over
but you
10
want an
acres,
8,000 square foot house on a 10 acre lot?
8,000 square foot of storage of accessory buildings on anything over 10 acres with a 16-foot sidewall maximum. Would that take care of it rather than having an escalating scale above 10,000?
Except that seems like a big building on 10 acres.
Anything over 10 acres could be allowed that.
It could, but then that's. Building on a 10 acre lot. Right now it's 3,600, right?
Right now it's 3,600.
We're talking about going to
proposing
4,600.
4,600. I'm just
You're
trying
saying
to avoid,
8,000, so that's like a.
I'm trying to avoid the escalating scale. If you're over so many acres, you can have up to so many square foot of building, accessory buildings, period, rather than having
We
it.
could do that.
I'm just trying to make it simpler for the office to define. Other than that, they're gonna have to look at every acreage and stuff. And if we,
Well, I'm just
even
saying
when-
adding, putting, instead of up above 10, you just say 10 to 25, and 25 to 50. You're only adding.
I'd go 10 to
One-
15 and then beyond 15. Go to, you know, maybe not
Whatever-
10,000, but
whatever you wanna do.
8,000 square feet, some maximum square footage. And then on so many acres, on a larger acreage, you could go to a higher sidewall height to 16 foot. But I think the setback has to be a consideration. Rather than having too many categories, if we just went over so many acres and so many square feet, you know, cause you go 10
That
to
would work.
20, 20 to 50, It just seems like, it's not gonna happen that often in our township that they're gonna have that many categories of people that wanna build buildings. Been discussed a lot. I've taken in some information and, I can agree to a point. I think the planning and zoning could work with it. If we go with just a couple more steps up and then, a maximum building size on any acreage in the township. Whatever square footage and the sidewall height, I think we've been at the 14 foot on most of them. We agreed with that. East Bethel, that's what they had on anything without city approval. If we went to something over 15 acres or something, or maybe over 10, you could have higher sidewalls and up to so many square foot of building. That would be in addition to the amendments that were proposed back in October and November. But the increments, I don't think we want to put a whole lot of increments escalating up above that, because once you're over 10 acres, you got a lot of opportunity for setback from property lines and distance from neighboring properties and stuff. So
Yeah, I think if we go up in height, then that setback should increase quite a bit,
Right, well, like I say,
because that makes a huge difference. That
whether it's
20 feet off of a
That-
property line with
right,
a 16 foot
right.
wall, that's gonna be a wall blocking, shading a house next to you, maybe.
I suggest those numbers tonight, or do you want to wait?
We should get input from everybody else.
this isn't going nowhere for a while, because it's gonna have to get, addressed, amended, kind of officially by the planning company, or whatever, or.
Then don't we
Billy
have to
and,
have a
somebody
public hearing on
gotta
it?
plug in the numbers. But we've discussed enough, if the planning commission wants to make a recommendation of something now, or look at surrounding communities and see what you wanna go from there, but. Yes, Mr. Kramer. That was addressed in here, but it said, none of this applies to commercial, it applies to RA and R1. I know. I know. That is something that the planning is gonna I think the planning has to look at as far as commercial development. Could we allow smaller acreage for commercial development? I know when I split my property up, the house and the shop, I had to have 2.5 acres. There was no exception for commercial. Yet, if it was zoned commercial prior to 1978 or whatever, like the Carlisle property down there, they got all kinds of parcels that are smaller than an acre in that whole complex up there, but they were established before our zoning ordinances came in. Now we have 2.5 acre minimum on everything that applies to, commercial R1, RA, whatever. But that's another topic, Ed. I don't know. And I don't think you're gonna see, well, if you went into a larger acreage, you're looking at industrial, not commercial, And I don't know that we have the, ability to accommodate industrial stuff out here. But But that's commercial, right? Or is that industrial? You're. No, that's business property. Yeah. But that's still, would you, again, we're trying to, I don't wanna establish ordinances based on one individual's request. And that's where we have to look at a broader thing on this, you know. The commercial property, right now, if we change this at all, it's still gonna apply to commercial property. So if somebody's got commercially zoned property that's 20 acres, they may be able to build one building on it, you know, that's whatever square footage we establish in our
I
proposal.
thought we're just doing already.
What's that?
I thought we're just doing residential.
I know we are. Ed brought up commercial. I wasn't gonna deal with that, so. It has to be dealt with, but.
It's another topic, another day, right?
Something to keep
It's
in
getting
your mind.
confusing.
Well, how do we deal with commercial property? Cause commercial property on 2.5 acre minimum, that doesn't allow a lot of leeway for people to develop it, okay?
But they could get a variance, right?
They would need a
If a commercial on the lot size, if they.
variance by
If some
current things, but
industry
our
wanted to do
ordinances could be
something-
modified to accommodate commercial development, but that's a whole different,
Topic.
whole different bag of worms. I'm just, regarding the accessory building for residential properties, what we're dealing
Mhm.
with.
Yep.
Nothing personal, Ed, but not tonight, okay? But anyway, if we could do something on bigger acreage and square footage, I think it would take care of stuff, but I just only think we need to expand it by two items, you know. 10 to 15, 15 to 25, and then beyond that. That's the cap. You got so many square footage on acreage, you know.
Cause you're right, it may not matter, cause when you hit a certain, you would definitely have a certain building size maximum for any size parcel. So then there'd be no reason to go 50 to
Establish
100.
an
If you're gonna
ordinance.
say at 50, we're gonna allow the same building size at 50 or 300 acres. The main say maximum, then there's no reason to
It
go.
would be
any
so many
segments
acres
beyond
or
that.
more would be allowed this much.
Right.
Right, that we're like 10 acres to 15 is this much, you know. Up to 15 acres, you're allowed this many square foot and stuff.
15
Discuss
and
it.
above, you're at a maximum of this building size.
Billy, is there anything pending as far as requests in the office now, looking at something like this? We've been chewing on this accessory building for quite a while, and I guess when we do amend the ordinance, I'd like to get it right, so we don't have to revisit it again. Their comments tonight can help us maybe get it done and over with. I think, okay, is everybody okay with this, whatever, accelerating scale that was proposed up to 10 acres? It's just beyond 10 acres seems to be the discussion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are we gonna look into it and then bring it back on the agenda next month?
I think we
then?
should do our due diligence.
Okay, okay. Then look at surrounding communities and what we can do from here on, and then look at the properties around Linwood that have the potential to put a building on more than, you know, more than 20 acres or whatever. There isn't that many open parcels. There is some, but more than likely, if they're high and dry, within the next 20 to 30 years, they will be developed by somebody. That's just the way things go.
Could someone review to me what the numbers are we have now thinking of doing? Like 10,000 square feet and then at 15 or 20?
We don't have that part yet. We're just doing 10 to 15 and 15 to 25.
Well, I don't, that's what I think.
So
Jim
that's
is
what we
asking
have
for.
to
What
research
are we
on.
looking to do?
Yeah, I want to hear some numbers.
I don't know the sizes or the setbacks.
You
Well, is the 25 acre lot big enough that you would put the biggest building we'll allow in Linwood on that size parcel?
Which is what?
7,000 square feet, say?
It could
70
be,
by-
but it didn't have to be.
Me, it didn't have to be, it doesn't matter.
But it's 3,600 right now.
I'm
So if you go to
talking- we're-
7,
We're talking about numbers as maximum, correct?
right.
Okay, and we're saying three options?
And I don't know, I'm just saying is if 25-acre lot, if you have a 7,000 or 10,000 square foot building on it with proper setbacks, will that be hidden from people who might border that 25-acre property where it wouldn't be a hindrance to their lifestyle?
Would that be an individual item? Each person would have different kinds of property and different
Well,
visibility.
yeah, but you have setbacks. So what if you have 100-foot setback?
That's other criteria we'd have to enter in.
That's what I'm
So
saying.
again-
The larger the building, the bigger the setback should be.
Show me some numbers. If we're gonna,
That's something that needs to be calculated. For what's reasonable. I mean, if you put a 25-acre lot and you put a building in the center of it, nobody's gonna, doesn't matter how big that building is, 25-acre lot is big enough that that building isn't gonna be shading some neighboring property's yard.
Depends on
But-
the wetlands and buildable.
Right, but that's what I'm saying, but if their lot isn't like that and they have to build their building in a corner of their 25-acre lot that happens to border, some other property with houses right, with a 10-foot setback to the property line, and that building should not be allowed to be as tall. So then they should say, well, you gotta have a 50-foot setback or 100-foot. Well, I can't because of wetland. All right, apply for a variance. But for most people, they could comply with that. But if they have a bad lot. And that's, I'm sure there's standards we can look up. If you have a building 16 feet high, what's the recommended minimum setback to a house, to a resident property?
there's already 6.8, 7.6, 8.8, 9.8, and we, 10 acres and larger. And that seems to be where our issue is. Right, so if we're going to able it and say, come back next time, what are we saying 10 acres and larger?
That's what we're trying to research of what the surrounding communities are.
No, that wouldn't.
Most liberal one was Columbus Township as far as building height and square footage. And, again, I looked into it. If you rest, you want to look at it, but wider setbacks and the 20-foot setback is fine in certain areas. And again, if you put it, you got a $500,000 home and you got some big warehouse building, 100 by 70, 7,000 square feet, sitting 20 foot off the property line, it's still gonna be out of place. In a zoning review, if our ordinances say that's okay, the zoning review will say, yeah, it's okay. But that's where,
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like if you're going from 14 to 16, instead of a 20-foot setback, maybe it's 100 feet
14 to 16 acres?
No,
height, building height.
Okay.
I mean, you can increase the setback drastically if they want to go that extra 2 feet above what's standard. I don't know if it'd be 100 or it'd be 50 or 40 or what, but because if somebody has, I mean, I'm on a lake, so my lot's narrow and I've got a 10-foot setback. My house is 15 feet from the lot. The neighbor's house is 15 feet from the lot. If he was 20 and his house was a 5-story building there, that would affect my lifestyle. So I would want, if I say where I'm living, if there was a 100-acre lot next to me, if there was a 14-foot, building, I don't want it 20 feet off off the property. Because I'm gonna look out my window and see this wall of a building. So I would rather that is set back enough. So obviously I'm still gonna see it unless there's woods between it, but there should be if you want that additional 2 feet, there should be, accommodation for people around you. Probably won't affect you. Your neighbors don't care. And maybe you're already, I don't know how many feet your building is off your property line.
I understand, Jim, what you're saying. You like some numbers to work with and stuff. And again, if you look at other communities, anything over a certain acreage and so many square feet requires review of the city and the planning commission or zoning administrator, whatever, before it can be allowed. And it may require a variance. And if we try to establish ordinances with, say, a 20-foot setback on 15 acres, you know, with a larger building, it still may affect the, it may
But you
affect
could
the
make the
integrity of the
setbacks-
neighborhood,
You could make the
okay?
setbacks large, and if they wanna, if they wanna not.
Encroach on
monitor
that
those, then
setback, then they
need to
require a
get
variance. That's kind of where we're
So
at
we
with it.
shy on the
See,
side
right
of,
now it says 10 acres and larger, maximum size 4,600 feet, 14 sidewalls. Anything else needs to be a variance. That's the way it is right now.
That's, no, that's the proposal.
Well, that's the proposal.
That's the
Yeah, that's
proposal.
the
Right now, it's
proposal, the current
3,600 square
proposal.
feet with a 10-foot setback.
Oh, okay.
That's the way our ordinance currently
but the issue
reads.
is if you have 30 acres, you also can only have that size building
3,600.
with a 14-foot sidewalk. You have 300 acres, you can only have that size building. There's no accommodation for somebody with a larger lot.
Unless
put
they
a
come
larger
in- Unless
building.
they come in and get a variance.
Right.
You only go up to 10 acres if you wanted to go 15 and 20, but then we gotta come up with numbers.
So that's what we were talking about.
Throw some numbers
Saying 10 to
out
15.
tonight
Tell
for
me
a
some-
recommendation.
Tell me some numbers so
Okay.
I
So
can think
10 to
about it.
15 acres could be what we're proposing, 4,600 square feet. So where it says 10 acres and above.
So 10 acres to
instead of saying
15
that, you say
acres
10
would
to 15
be
would be this-
5,000 square feet with the 14-foot sidewalls. If you need 16-foot walls, the setback should be, what is the current setback?
10-foot.
So then go 20 feet if you
I think
want,
It's 10.
Thought it was 10.
Yeah, it's 10.
and then 15 to 25 acres, 5,500 square feet.
Fifteen to 20. Again.
I'm just throwing numbers
throw-
out. You
throw
want
some
me-
numbers, put them out there for review, and then we can see if they'll, hold tight till the next meeting and look at other communities and see
Right.
what they got. I think we could go,
How big is your building?
4,800. We allow 4,600. He's not looking at a big.
That's why I'm saying, make the building maximum 5,500 square feet. And if they want anything over 5,500 square feet, then have them come for a variance. Cause not very many people are gonna go bigger than that.
So you're saying, just say anything over 10 acres, you can have 5,500 square feet,
No, 15 and over.
15 and over.
But if you want,
So 10 to 15 would
Put
be,
another increment up to 15 acres at 5,000 and anything.
that makes sense.
over 15 is maximum 5,500 square feet. No, any with 14-foot sidewalls,
You see, that's what, if we allow bigger buildings on bigger acreage, I think we can allow 16-foot sidewalks.
if the setback is further.
With the, yes, with the different setback, that's,
So you're talking 15 acres.
Or 5,500 square feet.
So at 15 acres larger, 5,500 square feet
Mhm.
with 16 in sidewalks.
Up to 16-foot sidewalls with a 25-foot setback.
So that's really only adding one more category.
category.
That's all it's adding.
Well,
Yeah.
10 to 15 would be 5,000 square feet.
Okay, one
Yeah.
category there and then
That's-
15 and
You're still
over,
adding
Yes.
one category.
Yeah,
but no, okay, now, no accessory building, the cumulative square footage can be over 5,500 square foot
correct.
Right.
anywhere.
Without a
Anywhere.
variance on any,
What
any
you're
residential.
Yes,
lot.
that's what I'm proposing.
So.
Say it again.
So
15
10 to
not-
15,
Not 15 from larger.
wait, 10 to 15
Yeah.
acres
Yeah.
would be 5,000 square foot with up to 16-foot sidewalls with a 20-foot setback. And then 15 and higher would be 5,500 square foot
Let's say
with a
56.
25-foot setback up to 16-foot walls.
Well, it's just, you know, we're going 36, 46. So let's just go 56 maximum.
I just was round,
Square foot.
it was just rounding it
Square foot of
easy.
the building,
You're talking square foot.
square foot of the building, yeah. And at what acreage?
We could do 4,500
and
square
above.
foot, 5,000. I mean, I don't care what the square.
So you go 10 to 15,
Would be 5,000 square foot.
Or 5,600.
because right now it's 40, or the proposal was
The
46.
proposal, we could do the proposal as 4,500, 5,000 and 5,500. I don't care.
No, they're at 46 now, leave it
I
at
know.
Yeah,
46.
so leave that at 46, then go to 56.
I would just keep it
For
at
anything 15 acre
5,000
and above.
and
Just
5,500.
5,600.
5,600 up to 15.
15 and above is 5,600 maximum cumulative buildings for any size acreage.
I would keep it at
residential.
5,500 because that's still a huge building.
That's only 100
Well, I'm
feet.
thinking
Keeps the
they're
100
saying-
feet.
I know, it
Keep
doesn't
4600.
matter
It's
because
just a matter of somebody's gonna come in with
46.
something that wants another
Because-
foot one way or the other.
Then they need a variance.
Well, there you go. There you go. We're back to where we started. But no, we can put one more increment in
You
there.
have 4,100, 4,350, you have 4,600, you have 3,000. So again, my proposal is 5,000 and then 5,500. For the size of the buildings. You don't need the additional 100 square foot. If they want that, they can do a variance.
So that's at 15 acres and larger.
Right.
Yes,
5,500. With the cap, no matter what.
no matter what.
Okay. Now, do we wanna have whatever, somebody draft something that reflects that, or we wanna wait till next month and go over it again?
No, I think so, well, no, next month. But add it.
Add it to the proposed
We can do
thing.
that.
Then we can vote on it. next
And then we
month,
can
right? If they just
have the other
rewrite
two
that,
input.
Who can
So
do that? I should, you can do that, just if you add that next category and then the language that Nancy talked about.
Would that help you?
We're just,
I know. But
That's not gonna happen. There's still gonna be rules. There's still gonna be rules, but this gives some,
one more category, a little bigger.
and again, the sidewall height can be increased with increased setbacks.
Yes,
at what acreage?
He was talking 5,000 square feet up to 15 acres.
So 16 foot can go in with a larger setback, but at what acreage?
it doesn't matter what acreage. If you're using 16-foot walls, you have to have either a 20 or 25-foot setback.
No, but you don't want that to happen on anything less than 10 acres.
No, that's between 10 and 15 and 15 to 25. Or,
Okay.
yeah,
You wanna make this instead of 10 acres and larger, 10,
to
0,
15.
or 10 to 15. Yeah, the rest of them only go up 1 acre.
I know.
yeah, but you're on larger acreage, so it makes sense to be larger.
Okay? You get all that? 10 to 15,
And 15 to 20, 15 and larger.
And somehow in that language, cumulative square footage.
Yes, well, I think
Any of
that's
this
total,
stuff.
that's in all of it.
It's in here somewhere,
Yeah.
but that
It
needs
is.
to be incorporated. Cumulative accessory buildings.
But your garage too, right? So you can have your garage, an accessory building and,
I think you're, yeah.
Yes,
You're
yeah, it
allowed,
does.
you're allowed a house, a garage, whether attached or detached, and one accessory building.
right.
So your
As a-
garage
an
isn't
attached-
added, it isn't part of the accumulated square footage of your
Accessory building.
accessory. No, your garage isn't part of the accessory building. Your garage, you're allowed a house, a garage, whether attached or detached, and one accessory building, again, depending on how where we end up with this, up to so many.
Well, then the
square feet.
cumulative doesn't matter because you can only have one building anyway.
Well, on the proposal, they're saying that, they're combining R1 and RA.
That's what it's
And-
combining.
Currently, RA, you can have 3 accessory buildings. But they're combining that so you can have 3 accessory buildings on R1.
Okay. That's
where I was.
all right. So that makes more sense. So this is changes we're making allows somebody with acreage to have more than one accessory.
On
can have
larger
3.
than 5 acres.
Yeah,
That's how it should
even
be.
R1 has to be larger than 5 acres. You're
Right.
right. That, okay, that's what I remember. You can't have, even if it's
Schedule,
R1 or
yeah,
2.5, you allow one accessory. Yeah, that's in the language or somewhere already.
Yeah,
I think it's in
it's
it.
on,
Still
three-
not there.
3 of 6, page
Yeah.
3 of 6.
Okay. So that part wouldn't need to be changed. Some of this stuff, though, that the one paragraph I read. The maximum cumulative square footage may not exceed 4,600 square feet on any parcel in this zoning district. What is this zoning district?
What is
R1
it?
and RA.
Oh,
Well, but it
Or-
says this, it doesn't say these. I mean, it- Includes this zoning district, but there's 2 different zoning districts.
Yeah. I think
we're
he's,
combining them.
No, we're,
well, you-
there's still different zoning districts, but we're making the same criteria for accessory buildings for both zoning districts.
R1 and RA.
So then
This-
change
that-
this to these.
yeah,
That's, okay, that I noticed, and then, or specify R1 and RA zoning districts. Then that leaves out commercial. Here we go again.
Not doing commercial
I
tonight.
know that. Okay, these, I think, would clarify that part of it.
Commercial is another day.
Was multiple dwelling stuff, that's coming up too. Okay. Billy, you're clear about what we can amend this to and see what we come up with next month? Jim, everybody is okay with all what we discussed?
I'll make these amendments.
Thank you.
And
Sweet.
feedback, and then look at surrounding communities, see what other details you might wanna change or do. Agenda, let's go back to that. Are we okay with this? We can rest on it? Okay.
you send out the minutes, so we know what the numbers are.
Business. Okay, new business, none that I know of.
I have a new business.
You have something?
Well, if that's allowed. It says none.
Depends on what it is.
You just brought it up before.
Or I could do it on item 7.
Go ahead and tell us what it is.
Don't make it chickens.
No, nothing to do with chickens. I was, curious if, we could move the meeting, date to Monday instead of Tuesday. The 3rd Monday instead of the 3rd Tuesday.
I have a conflict.
We had it as Mondays for a while.
Yeah, when I first started, it was Monday.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, at the request of that one,
Oh,
yeah. And then we went back to Tuesdays so we could watch Monday Night Football.
What about Saturday night?
Pardon?
Saturday night.
Saturday?
What's the feeling of, I guess I'd wait till we get a couple more planning members before I approve something. I don't know what other conflicts,
Oh, I see.
I'm flexible either way, but to make the decision tonight without, you know, Gloria. Put
Is
it in
it-
the minutes that it, proposal to do that.
Monday's fine with me.
I'd have to look, it might, depending on which Monday of the month it is,
Third
but it
Monday
could be
or
on a
what.
different,
It needs to be between the town board meetings or
Right.
whatever, third week.
So it would have to be the third
Well,
Monday.
that can change too, depending on how the month rolls around.
so it would be the third.
Third Monday.
I'll check. It might be. But yeah, I agree, we should just see what everybody else. Anybody
can
else
make it
has
work?
issue. Yeah.
Any other new business? Information, planning and zoning commission member comments. You got it. I more than likely won't be here for the February meeting regardless.
Hate with that land on.
I would,
February. Tom Pillow will not be here either. He'll be here for the March meeting, but not February. That's three of us that are gonna be gone. Can we get a quorum together?
Four, right?
Four, with the alternate.
He not count as an
No, I-
alternate?
I'll be here.
Does he count even though he's an alternate?
Oh, yeah, if somebody's absent, he
Okay.
fills in, yeah. Rory, I'd have to check with, and Tom, like I say, he said he wouldn't be here till the March meeting. Try to get
Everybody was here.
confirmation of who will be here, but the planner, you said they may have stuff for the agenda. We're not making a quorum, can she deal with it, or not really?
We can make it 1 week later.
Are you gone on the Monday of that week?
Yeah, yeah.
So you're gone all week?
I'm getting back the 21st.
Yeah, if you want to send an email out to see if we're all, I mean, if we're gonna get a quorum for.
In the past, did Susan send you out calendar invites for every meeting? Would you like it if I did that? Then you guys can either accept or decline those. Then we have a running tally of who's accepted and who already plans to not be there. Cause I could do that as well.
Normally. She said,
But this would be for
And I
every
won't
meeting
know
of the
on my
year.
business until like the month before.
Gotcha. Okay. Just thought it might be helpful, but I can continue to do that. I'll send out an email to everybody for February.
Yeah. So if you two were gone, who would head? Who would be in charge? Who would be the,
Be the third person.
Acting
down the
chair.
line. Doesn't matter. Whoever jumps
Whoever
up,
wants to take the reins and run.
whoever wants to jump up fast. I want it.
Whoever's got their shield up. So I don't know.
Exactly.
I'd be gone tomorrow for Arizona, but I got carpal tunnel surgery in the morning and I'd be laid up, not laid up, but I'm leaving February 3rd and I'm heading south.
That hand?
Yeah, this, the one that's all crippled
Okay.
up. But anyway, I plan on leaving the 1st of February and I'll be gone until 1st of March. That's my plans. Not, I'm like to get business, keep business going here, but tis the season. Birds fly south. So anyway, whatever you can do to fill a quorum.
Oh, they can do fine.
But yeah, put notices out, try to get confirmation of who can be here and stuff.
We'll
But,
keep going.
Yes, sir.
if she needs action on stuff, I guess, can the board act without board can act without planning approval on things? Planning
believe-
recommendation,
They do all the time.
well, to a point, but is it, variances or?
I do think there is a variance in that stack. But I'm not as involved working with Cindy as Julie is in the office. So I can check and I will let you know what's coming down the pipe.
I have to check with protocol and see what can be done if the planning and zoning can. take
is
the
it
board.
something that you would be able to join via Zoom?
I wouldn't be able to, well, yeah, good.
Do we do Zoom anymore?
Jen,
Through planning, I know town board members have.
do that?
Wait and see if you need a quorum.
Right.
Try to get.
Worst case
confirmation. I can
Yeah,
do it
you got a
sometime
quorum.
depending on which motel and what town I'm in, how my computer works, cause I got my laptop with me all the time, but I've had troubles with good
Yeah,
communication.
With the different
so.
Wi-Fi's and stuff.
I
Okay,
can join that way if necessary. Is that,
Okay.
if we don't
that's
have the
still-
quorum.
will constitute a quorum if we can do it? Okay, all right. Let's see what we can build. Okay. Any other comments from the planning members? Order.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Been seconded to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed. Carries.
So we're supposed to come up with some